brainstorm till his thinking, sitting in his chamber room. The king will die before this morning, and he will step out from the doom. 15 years proceeded slowly, the wizard spent his life alone, lying many sleepless nights, he vowed that he possessed the throne. Daring as he's riding through the forest to the castle, standing there with open arms, the king will drink potion. What happened as they finally died? The moon!
Oh, yeah. So I spent the entire time on the toilet trying to think of clever D-Day and our other World War II puns for pooping.
Yeah.
And all I could think of were strangely masturbatory ones about the Battle of the Bulge and winning against the Poles. Or defending my Poles. Anyway,
winning against the Poles.
So... I don't know.
I think winning against the Poles is a pretty good euphemism for shit. All things considered.
I will take back the land that is rightfully mine after the Treaty of Versailles. Look it up, it's history.
Versailles. Anyway.
Kid can't pronounce stuff.
It's Versailles. It's fucking Versailles.
Versailles. They probably had a phalanx and everything.
Yeah. Man, that's a deep cut for our real fans.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Why is shit so aside?
Yeah, shit's pretty aside. You know what I will say, Kit? This is a really bad episode, I think.
Yeah?
So far. Yeah.
Yeah, pooping.
Maybe. I don't know. Listen, these poop jokes may be saving it.
So you're saying is this shit is gold?
Yeah, this shit is gold. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, like our discussions of these tabletop game characters, while very interesting to us, I'm not sure how well they Starsky and Butch, pretty interesting character concept. Even if you're not into role-playing games, fucking just, you're playing a druid with a gorilla sidekick based comedically in Starsky and Hutch. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's completely rules legal.
Completely, yes. Which is why I love Pathfinder. Just how many things are actually rules legal. And
yeah,
there are so many things that come so close to just being... Like, they're not the best bills, but they're viable. You can play them and, like, get through an adventure.
Yeah, well, let's
And I feel like that's not true. Because I've been having, like, a series of, like, real intense arguments with some very bizarrely passionate people online.
This is your everyday life?
Yeah. It's just, going on the boards.
And then motherfuckers be talking about how 5th edition is so good.
5th edition is so good. And I was like, yeah, it is pretty good. And then I'll list all the things I like about it, and how they build some balances that are lacking in previous 3.5 editions directly into the system, like balancing like 2-weapon fighting against other things, and shield and sword and shield against each other. Things just fall out just much neater. But then they're like then they try to come at me with like 5e has just as much customization as Pathfinder, and that's the dumbest fucking thing in the world, right?
Well, I haven't played them. I haven't played any 5th edition, but I mean, even 4th and really 3.5, you couldn't do nearly as much.
No, the reason why you can't do nearly as much in 3.5 is because there's so many fewer feats you get. Yeah, and there's even fewer feats still in 5th edition, and moreover, feats are an optional rule.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you have to trade out stat increases for feats.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what? Well, that's like...
Well, there's some counterbalances to it, and it's not as egregious as it sounds, because every single feat is like more, it gives you like 3 abilities versus like just 1 You know?
Okay.
They were like, you know, the party line is that, well, in these earlier editions, you weren't really getting one feat. You were always buying for like a chain of feats. So
Right.
we're just going to give you all the feat chain in one package. But it's just not as good, because you can't pick up all the little stupid minutia you want from all these different baskets, you know?
Yeah, you can't be
Yeah.
Kung Fu dinosaur investigator druid.
Exactly. There's no way.
But yeah. So fucking, and this is actually an issue. Somewhat, and I'm going to talk about this is my beef typically with Pathfinder and 3.5 and D&D in general. Which, you know, like, I like the systems and I've played them enough that like I'm familiar with the shit. So like I get to play fun stuff. And typically people criticize me of always trying to play too whimsical of characters. But, like, man, I'm tired of playing the generic sword and board shit. If I live in a fantasy realm of magic, you know? Like, if literally if I was in a fantasy realm of magic and I could do some magic-ass shit, I wouldn't be like, all right, it's time to be very serious about my dark lineage of spells.
Yeah.
And let's go on this quest. I would be like, fucking magic! It's time to go crazy!
Yeah.
And I would have fun with it. Like, it's, and like, I think a lot of the wonder is lost on, like, this, the ideas of shit, but, like, the thing that really, outside of people, like, you know, like, I feel like I always have to be kind of silly.
Yeah.
But, because I guess I've played too much of the standard, you know, form ship.
Yeah.
You know, like, you are the warrior.
Exactly.
And you fight stuff.
Yeah.
But the real shit that bothers me, and the real reason why I'm trying to branch out to a lot of other games, is that with D&D and with Pathfinder, it feels like I'm playing more of a system than I am, like, role-playing these characters.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what I like about those systems, actually, is that there is so much mechanical...
Well, yeah, it scratches a mechanical itch, but sometimes I just want to fucking, like, be a crazy fucking magic dude and do magic shit. And
fucking play some Spellbound Kingdoms, or...
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, like that's why I like those other systems more, because I get to role play rather than ROLL play.
No, that's completely fair. But so the argument I've been having on the internet is that I feel like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons does not necessarily fill the same niche that earlier editions of Dungeons and Dragons did. It's trying to go a little more rules light. It's just making it's making fewer things explicit, so more things end up being DM fiat, and that way it's a more loose role playing system. But motherfucker, that game exists a trillion times already, right? There's so many rules light systems. It's really well designed. The rules that are there are pretty tight, and I honestly think it's like a really, really great game. It's just I don't think it doesn't. It's not as good at being a role play game as Spellbound Kingdoms is, and it's not as good as being a rules intensive game as Pathfinder is.
Right.
So it's. You really have to be in that like liminal state, you know.
Yeah, and well, I mean, like that's the people that I've played with, as far as people that are like stick to the 3.5 or Pathfinder a lot, is just because they played a shit ton of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're like, well, that's what I want to play. That's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I remember whenever I was talking about playing Legend of Five Rings and running a Legend of Five Rings game, and one of my players said, well, I don't want to play a game where like there's an entire class that just does nothing but talk. And I'm like, you don't want to play that game? What the fuck is wrong with you? I talk my way out of every situation. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
that's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
But,
you know, some people don't want to play a game where you're in court and you're trying to like have arguments with like a duke.
Yeah. But you know, I fucking I like systems where, you know, I'm entreated to, I'm invited to make a character rather than a set of stats.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes a ton of sense, man. Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm making a dude instead of a build, which, like, I like making builds.
Yeah.
That shit's fun.
I'm making builds too.
But sometimes I want to fucking play a dude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, have you ever done any of the Fate stuff or Fudge Dice? It's
no.
It's the loosest game system fucking in the world. You give yourself a series of descriptors, which can be fucking anything, and when you're doing things involved with those descriptors, you get a bonus. That's the whole system.
Yeah, we played Russian Drunken Bear Fighter.
Yeah.
That was it, right?
No.
That was that game, though, right?
Yeah, it's...
I was a bear pornographer.
Yeah.
And every time I did bear pornography,
yeah,
got a bonus.
It's true. Same theory. It really is the same theory. You know, I will say that Drunken Russian Bear Fighter is a weirdly elegant game.
It's a captivating setting.
That's really my setting, though.
Yeah, well, it's captivating.
The one in which, like, the bear menace is not like is like hidden below the surface, hiding amongst us.
Well, I was thinking just the fact that there is a bear menace, and that it's so profound in which
that there has to be like a special team, a special strike force to stop all the drunken Russian bears.
That's like, I don't know, that's the kind of the joy. So, like, you know, like I talk about the joy of role playing and the joy of playing tabletops, and that's one of the ones that it's so fun. I'm fucking running a one shot of that next time.
Yeah,
we get together for one shots.
Oh yeah, no, it feels so good to run. I think too, because it's just you can just do shenanigans with it.
Yeah, and I love shenanigans.
Yeah.
Almost more than that guy in the movie Super Troopers.
Farva?
Yeah.
Always like, oh, shit on the walls.
Yeah. No, shenanigans?
Yeah.
God damn it. Anyway. That shit.
But yeah, I have very, very strong feelings about 4th edition. 5th
edition?
5th edition.
4th edition.
Really, 4th edition too. But honestly, you know, the thing about 4th edition is I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do. In fact, I enjoy it a lot. I think it's an incredibly tight series of rules, much like 5th edition is, in fact.
Right.
But it's a series of, you know, it was all choice. It was all choice, and the choices were kind of same-ish.
Yeah. I feel that, like, it felt like there wasn't very much difference besides what my stuff was named.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, I was like, well, I can play a monk where I'm doing 1d10 to all these people, or I could play a dude that does 1d10 to, like, a 1d8 to one guy. I'm like, I'm gonna just play the monk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't know, like, I'd rather not play 4th edition, and I haven't heard much about 5 other than what you told me, but, like...
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, so the thing is, so feats are an optional rule. You have to take them instead of stat increases, which means that really in any given build, you're not going to have more than like 2 to 4 feats. So like most classes only get 5 feats. Yeah. And you're always going to get your attack stack to max because it's a treadmill again, actually, like it is in 4th edition, really. Because it has bounded accuracy. It does it a little more subtly than 4E did. So that's good at least. But it's still a treadmill. You're still going to... Having that additional +1 is going to be the only thing that matters forever. You'll be 5% more likely to hit. You'll be doing 1 more point of damage forever. There's no way to overcompensate for that meaningfully. So yeah, I don't know. That's just the reality. that you're always going to have to get your attack stat to max. If you're going to want to have any other stats that are caught up at all, you're not going to have many feats. You're going to have like 2 feats. And that's not enough to do anything.
Those are the feats that you use to walk away from the game.
Really, like, the components of the system will be just like, oh, you have to do everything else with your backstory, and and what the GM was but fuck that. Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want a game, we're talking, the only reason I'm playing this game to begin with is because I like to build stuff. If that wasn't true, I'd be playing Fate.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's too much of other systems that already do that.
Yeah. And do it, and go more whole hog on it. They don't half-ass this shit. Like, we'll have some build complexity, but really, it's theater of the mind. Fuck that noise. I can go all the way if I want to go.
I can. If I want to play theater of the mind, I'll play Spellbound Kingdoms, which is stellar.
Yeah. Which has way more guidance for role playing, really.
Yeah, actually, did I ever tell you about the Spellbound Kingdoms game that I ran?
Maybe in broad terms. Why don't you just tell me about it real quick? Give me the elevator pitch.
So basically all of the, like, before magic was really granted upon the world by, like, this, like, great deity fucking thing.
Sure.
Like, essentially a dragon aliens.
Okay.
Everybody lived normally. And the dragon aliens were like, yeah, okay, whatever, magic, here it is. And so some of the guys that, like, lived in the world were like, well, hey, now we have magic and stuff, why don't we, like, explore this entire world?
Yeah.
We'll set off and become explorers. And so these guys end up, like, becoming kings and essentially becoming immortal through various ways. Like, one of them's a lich, one of them's like a robot, so on and so forth. Cool, they all have their different domains. One of the guys becomes like a blood magic vampire guy.
Sure.
And so they all have their kingdoms, but essentially they subjugate everybody to make sure that nobody abuses magic or becomes powerful enough to really topple the ruling kingdoms that they've set up.
Yes.
Either through pulling strings to the shadows or just ruling the fucking place. And so the party essentially, they're becoming too inspired and too strong.
Okay.
And so the king, who knows this shit, is basically, like, recruits them to be, like, his, like, special, like, operatives.
Yeah.
And just sends them on death mission after death mission.
Good.
Yeah, and so they're doing death missions, and I think the highlight of that campaign, the moment I'll never forget, is they've been walking through the woods for a while, headed towards the next place, and every night they hear music, right?
Yeah.
And it's, like, compelling them to, like, go out into the woods and get lost or something, and they don't know what's going on. And so, like, they're constantly like, okay, we know these tropes, we're all just gonna stick together, we're not gonna investigate the music, we'll be fine.
Okay.
We know there's people out there,
Sure.
whatever. They keep going, and eventually they hear the music again, but it's coming from overhead. And there's this orca in the sky.
Okay, yeah, one of the sky orcas I've been hearing about.
The sky orca, and it fucking, like, catapults into them. And out of the sky orca's corpse crawl 4 zombie assassins.
This is no longer an elevator pitch.
No, I was saying this is a moment.
Yeah, okay.
And then of course the zombie assassin guys all blew up their heads and knocked out the whole party, which leads to the other most memorable moment. So the whole party gets knocked out. So I gotta think, but they're all too inspired to die. So I gotta think of, like, something that's like a fitting kind of loss for them.
Yeah.
So they're kidnapped by, like, another kingdom, and they're, like, being held in cells, and they're being, like, tortured mentally. Like, they have to go through all these kind of horrible kind of situations where they get endeared to new characters, and those characters get slaughtered mercilessly in front of them. Shit like that. And so they're going through this hell, and they can't figure any way out because, like, their magic's all fucking trapped up.
Yeah.
And one of the characters, her whole deal was that she was a noble, and that she was married to this duke.
Okay.
And the whole time we just joked that he was just this duke, and he was the duke, and she would always ask him for money whenever she needed money. And basically, before all this happened, she was like, "Oh, you should throw a ball now that I'm back in town, and we could attend this ball." But then, like, plot happened, and, like, she didn't attend the fucking ball, and they left.
Okay.
And then they got kidnapped by zombies. So essentially, they're, like, in, like, day, like, 14 of their imprisonment, And the Duke shows up with, like, the last remnants of an army that he had, like, amassed to go rescue his, like, noblewoman.
Yeah.
And it's, like, just him and, like, 2 other dudes. And, like, out of, like, you know, like, he spent, like, all of his fortune, all of his money, completely gave up, like, the entire, like, all of his, you know, dukedom, essentially, in order to go after the woman he loved. And so he gets there and, like, he saves her. And, you know, he dies in her arms, tragically. And his last words are, "You can always bet on the Duke."
Pretty good.
And, yeah.
No,
and then that campaign.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, man. Yeah. No, it's a good role-playing game story. I love running games and sharing stories with my friends.
Yeah. No, it's super fun.
It is. It's nice.
Well, I mean, like, I think that's the thing that kind of gets overlooked is, so a lot of people, like, that are, you know, not into tabletop games, and even some that are, see them as kind of like, oh, we're going to get together to play this game.
Yeah.
You know? But I see it as more of like a kind of social, interactive.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
And so, like, yeah, like, I'm trying to, for instance, I'm trying to run this L5R campaign. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have one person that's like, oh, well, I can't show up on these days because I have, like, these other plans to go to clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, we're not getting together to play the game. We're getting together to hang out as friends. You know, like,
it's true.
Like, the impetus is that, yeah, we'll have a game, we'll play it, and it's gonna be fun, and, you know, there'll be something to do, and that's gonna be fucking cool and rad.
Exactly.
But then we're all just gonna hang out and, like, powwow and shoot the shit and drink beers and have pizza, and it's gonna be a great time.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's what gets lost on a lot of people that don't kind of, like, understand it, or, like, are just that, like, that's kind of entry level of playing the game. Is they don't, like, get that, like, the real trick is that it's, like, to come up with fun stories with your friends.
No, it's true. It's true. And the other thing is, it's not really exactly, it's not competitive either. I mean, it can be. It can have a competitive tint. And it's also fun as a GM to play characters against each other. You know for a fact how much I love to do that. Yeah. That's real fun. But so you have these shared experiences, like in the storytelling setting, where people are going on these adventures together and collaborating to solve problems, and it makes, like, close friendships and stuff. Yeah,
man. And I think that's the beauty of tabletop games, really.
Yeah. No, that's what I love about it.
There was and I got to say, actually, I was endeared by it. I got to see a moment of that at Gen Con. Yeah. One of the events I went to was this. It was 100-man war.
Okay.
And it was Legend of Five Rings, and the big group that does Legend of Five Rings roleplay, and they have their own forums and everything, is Heroes of Rokugan.
Okay. And
they run an alternate canon that, like, diverges from the actual canon of the story since, like, first edition. But so all their, like, they make their own modules essentially that follow their canon and, like, advance it and stuff.
Yeah.
And their modules are all, like, you know, approved and tested and so on and so forth. And they're actually a lot of fun. They're all pretty good.
That's great.
And so we hopped in for one of the large events that was, like, the next big canonical event in the series.
Yeah.
And it was essentially that, like, half the clans were fighting the other half the clans over, like, some big disagreement that boiled down to, like, what territory actually belonged to who.
Yeah.
If it was to the Phoenix or the Dragon. And there was a city that we were fighting over. And so we all divided into tables, and the tables were, like, our squads, and we had a GM at each table. And then our armies had army commanders that were not just players, but also GMs running the shit.
Okay. Sure.
And so, like, the army commanders would be like, okay, I need, you know, they would get all the table commanders, and they'd be like, okay, table commanders, who weren't necessarily GMs. All the table commanders were just players that had the highest leadership. So he'd be like, okay, well, I need you to go to this district, I need you to go to this district, and then, like, depending on how well we do in the fights, we would earn points for our side, and whatever side had more points ostensibly would, like, win this city and change the future of, like, the fucking canon, which is already fucking rad. That was, like, everybody was like, fuck yeah, that's what we're doing. And so, like, we're kicking ass, so on and so forth, and then halfway, like, and, like, not even half, like, 2/3 through it, an event happens that only, like, 3 people at the event knew was gonna happen.
Sure.
So, like, the head DMs of both sides didn't even know this shit. Just the person, like, literally running Gen Con.
Yeah.
Like, the Gen Con L5R shit. So it turns out that, like, this guy shows up and he's like, okay, so I'm the Emperor. And he's like, so, like, because, like, the whole plot they were going with was that, so all these people came back from history, and so, like, the current Emperor is, like, ghost version of an ancient Emperor.
Yeah.
Because the previous Emperor didn't have any, like, you know, true son to carry on the legacy, so they just went back to Ghost Emperor, who was fucking nuts.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but this guy shows
whenever
up.
Whenever a line ends, it's tradition that a ghost rise up to take the throne.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy shows up and he's like, you know, my mother was a whore, and I found out, you know, like, my father was the Emperor, and I've got his blades, and I'm the true Emperor. Join me, stop your petty squabbling. And so everybody's like, oh shit, and this guy's got like an army.
Yeah.
And so our generals go to powwow, and our general for our side already decided, fuck him, we're fighting. Like, he was going to do that shit no matter what.
Yeah.
But luckily the other side decided, yeah, let's fight this guy.
Yeah.
Fuck this douchebag. And so then, like, the last part of it was us all, like, fighting this guy's army. And we ended up pushing him back, but, like, not, you know, destroying his army completely.
Yeah.
But it was like, there was just this moment of, like, even the people running most of the event were like, oh, shit. And, like, we all had to, like, seriously, like, from the ground up, all of us had to just, like, we all had to, like, confer at our tables. It's like, well, do you want to go to this war? And then, like, we had, like, all, like, this, like, cool, like, role play back and forth. The characters, friend and I were running were, like, brothers that were rumor mongers, so we're like, you hear about this fucking new Emperor guy, what do you think about that? Yeah. So, you know, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That's neat. Neat stuff.
And I did not think that, you know, like, a big, like, event like that would be able to captivate, you know, so many people and be able to kind of draw everybody in the same amount. But, yeah, that was the bomb.com.
Yeah, man. Fucking, I'm mad jealous. I really gotta hit up Gen Con sometime.
Yeah.
I'm such a big... And you couldn't even find out if fucking Frank Brunner was alive or not.
No, I couldn't. Fucking, like, anybody that I asked, no clue. And, like, I couldn't get near, like, if there were any, like, super official Pathfinder people there. Because there's, huge
you have to have asked Wizard of the Coast.
Yeah, like, there wasn't much Wizards.
Yeah?
Like, there was a lot more Pathfinder, obviously. Because, like, they were, like, one of the huge funding, you know, whatever. But, like, yeah, like, you know, fucking, I couldn't find anybody that knew what the fuck.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's unfortunate, because I really want to know if that guy's alive or dead. If he's ever going to make that game he was talking about in 2012.
And you have the internet.
No, man. He's disappeared since 2012. He hasn't been there.
Fucking debug this shit.
What?
I don't know, man. Find the people that know him.
Yeah, I mean, the only people I know who know him are people who, like, developed books with him.
Yeah, you gotta email those guys.
Yeah.
They're human beings too, Maxwell.
Yeah. Probably.
They have like, inboxes just like everyone else.
Yeah.
They have P.O. boxes and inbox. Like, they can respond to your shit.
Sure.
Yeah, Gen Con was pretty nuts.
Sounds like it had lots of things in it.
Yeah, there were a lot of fun games. Picked up a lot of, like I picked up, like, Small World has been super fun.
What's Small World?
It's like a little, like, board game. It's kind of like Risk if you took out all the dice and the bullshit.
Okay.
And instead, what makes the game work is, you have races that have racial abilities that get randomized, and then you have special abilities that get randomized and assigned to the races randomly. And so every player buys into these. So you can use, like, you start off with, like, 5 victory points already, and you can spend victory points to buy, like, the next race up.
Okay.
So, like, if the bottom race is some shit that no one wants, you know, you can buy into, like let's say, like, the bottom is, like, diplomatic wizards or some shit, and no one wants to play the fucking diplomatic wizards, then then like you go up, and you can like be like, I want to play warmongering Ratman.
Yeah.
So on and so
Sure.
forth. So you get your race, and depending on the ability and depending on the race card, you get a certain amount of units, essentially.
Sure.
And those units will never increase.
Alright.
And so you have to conquer territory, and at the end of your turn, you get points equal to how much territory you've conquered.
Sure.
And some races get more, like wizards get more if they're conquering like magical like points, you know.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Makes sense.
And so you what you want to do is conquer as much stuff as you can, but then that'll spread your army real thin,
Yes.
right? Because you never get reinforcements.
Yeah.
So instead, what you do is you do a thing where you it's called putting your race into decline. So you flip your card over, and you pick up a new race, and then all of your race on the board thins out to like one dude on every tile that you control, and they still continue to give you points until they're killed, but then you start the game again with a new race.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it just lasts a certain number of rounds?
Yeah, and so it plays 2 to 5 people, and it lasts more rounds if you have less people.
Okay. Is it first person to a number of points, or is it?
No, it's just you play all the rounds, and then everybody ties up how many points they have.
That makes sense. No, that's neat. Sounds like a neat game, dude.
It is soup's fun.
Yeah. Is it played with like perfect information? Everyone sees what everyone has, and
Yeah. Like the only thing that you really ever hide from everybody else is how many points you have. So that like other people don't start dicking you over, but everybody has a pretty good idea of where everyone else is in the game.
Yeah.
So you can hide that you have a 40-point lead instead of a 20-point one, but everybody knows that you have a lead.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool, and there's like a sheet that explains all the mechanics that everybody gets. So there's a lot less like, well, what the fuck does like boviacking mean?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that's probably another word I'm mispronouncing.
But I don't even know what that word is.
It's like BIVOU whatever the fuck.
I don't know.
They could have set up camps.
I don't even know. Maybe that's a word I don't know. That'll happen sometimes.
Oh, bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a word I didn't fucking know, but they could have set up camps.
Sure.
It's essentially, at the end of your turn, you get to set up 5 camps in any squares that you control, and they up the defense of your places.
That's neat, I guess.
Yeah. So, like, all the abilities are kind of neat, and, like, I really dig that it's got, like, cool little pieces. Like, you have little tiles with pictures of your guys.
Yeah.
And, like, essentially, because the races and the special, like, the adjective abilities are always randomized, you always play, like, different kind of play setups.
No, that's neat. No, I think that's a really well-designed game in a lot of ways. Yeah. No, that sounds neat. I would like to try that sometime.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of fucking cool expansions too that like add on more races or like extra map stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that game's fun. I played let's see, what are the games we played? A Cosmic Encounter, which is old as tits.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of that one, that's a game that's been around for a long time apparently.
Yeah, I think I have heard of that actually.
Yeah, it's you're like spaceships in space and you gotta fight each other.
Yeah.
And like make sure that everybody else doesn't win but you do.
Sure.
So it's a lot of scheming and being shitty.
No, yeah, that's the most fun.
Yeah. My brother was trying to sell me on a game, which my brother always is telling me about games because
Your brother the chef?
No, my brother Sean. He works at a school.
Oh,
so,
alright.
Yeah. He teaches, but like I think he teaches students that have like learning disabilities.
Oh.
Particularly like Asperger stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he one of his colleagues specifically tries to teach stuff through games.
Yeah.
It's like almost every week he'll have a different game that he's trying to test out.
That's pretty cool.
And so my brother's like played like all these games, and so he's got like this huge base of like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And the 2 games that I would recommend, and I guess this is still tabletop gaming, but not role playing.
Yeah. I mean, this was supposed to be role playing talk, but that's fine. Tabletop game. Yeah.
The two ones that he recommended, and one of them I've played and is a lot of fun, is Zolkin.
Yeah.
It's a Mayan calendar game. It's worker placement. So everything's shown. There's no scheme. But essentially, you have 5 different camps in which you can put your workers in.
Sure.
And there's these little gears for each of them, and you put your worker down like a little peg of the gear.
Sure.
And then if there's a worker already in a gear, you can go like one up, but it costs you more of your resources, your like corn or whatever.
Sure.
And so you place workers on your turn. You can either place workers or pick them up. And so all the different camps give you different stuff. So like one's for like harvesting food, and another one's for like researching technology.
Yeah.
There's another one for like donating crystal skulls to the gods to gain favor with the gods.
Sure.
There's a lot of cool shit in this game. And so in the middle of the 5 camps, there's this big fucking gear that that's like the Zolkin gear of the Mayan calendar or whatever.
Sure.
And it's got so many cranks on it essentially that you can go through before it basically dictates the game with its like little spokes.
Yeah.
So each spoke is like a turn, and you turn it between the spokes.
Okay. That's
so
nice.
once it makes a full revolution, you've played the whole game.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is it's all interlocked.
Yeah.
So you put all your little workers on the little tiny camp gears, and then a turn happens, and you turn the big gear, and it forwards all the workers on all the gears by like 1 space.
That's nuts. How expensive is that?
It's like $20-$30,
Really?
something like
That's
that.
not bad for as grandiose as that fucking sounds.
It's fucking amazing, and it's so like fun to turn the big gear and turn all the workers.
Yeah.
But even more so, like it's such a fucking like the game wouldn't work without that shit.
Yeah.
Like because then you'd have people bitching about like, well, you didn't move that worker last turn. Like no.
Yeah.
Like everything fucking moves simultaneously. It's awesome.
It's true. No, that is really fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it mechanically keeps track of everything for you. Just like through like physical forces.
Yeah, and so the idea is like, you can leave your workers out for more turns, and whenever you pick them up, they'll give you greater yield.
Yeah.
But every turn you have to put down or pick up guys, and you can't do both.
Yeah.
And you can't skip your turn.
Okay.
So like, if you put down all your guys, then you can't. You'll have to pick up at least one next turn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of strategy. The game is short enough that like you can't really get into like a winning strat and totally be beast moding on everybody. Like a lot of the times we play, by the time like we're finally like getting into like, oh man, I'm gonna do this fucking rad ass thing, like we're in the last 4 turns.
Yeah.
So like you really feel the crunch of time.
Yeah.
Pretty
cool.
So that game's stellar. That game's fucking fun as shit, and I'm trying to coax more and more of my friends to playing it.
Man, fucking wish you were around. I'd play the shit out of that.
Shit. Yeah, I might bring it down for winter if I come down.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And then we could play Netrunner, and I could show you how terrible...
Battering? Fuck
yeah.
you, Kit. Battering is civilization.
Alright, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Fucking... There's better things.
Yeah.
Fucking Yagasaurus with Atman is... I really hate myself for telling one of my friends this combo. Because now it's so fucking hard to play criminal against them. I guess any not play criminal, what I'm saying, playing any corp against them is a fucking pain.
Yeah.
Because Yagasaurus is essentially, you beef up Yog so you can get through code gates easy. And then you play Kit, who makes the first piece of ice that you run on your turn at code gate.
Yeah.
And then your Shaper. And then Atman is like you call a strength and it defeats whatever, you call for like this fuck. Fucking frustration. Anyway, so the other game my brother was telling me to get into, that seemed like super fun, is called Mystery at the Abbey.
Okay.
Or Murder at the Abbey. I think maybe it's Murder at the Abbey. And it's like Clue.
Sure.
But you're in a church. And there's a shit ton of like people who are suspects, which is like all the monks at this church.
Sure.
But like he's like, so like, you run around and you gather clues, and the difference from Clue is that whenever you like, it's similar to Clue in that you're like marking off stuff and figuring out things, and you have exclusive information.
Sure.
But the difference is that like whenever you go to the altar to call out who it is, you get so many points for calling him out.
Okay.
But then you also get more points for knowing more specific stuff about the person.
Huh.
So like if you know that like he has like this specific like tonsure and this color hair.
Huh.
Like a beard, then like that helps, right?
Yeah.
Or like he's part of the brothers, or like he's like a friar.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So like you're incentivized to not just know, like to not just knee jerk be like, oh, it's Colonel Mustard with the knife.
Yeah.
Instead, like the more shit you know, the more points you can get, which can hopefully give you the win.
Yeah.
But like there's other ways to earn points.
Huh.
But you see, the really cool thing about it is, and what makes it fun, is that every so many turns everybody has to return to the same place to do mass. and then an event happens during mass, like every mass in the game. So there's like multiple masses, and there's like something like 100 fucking events. So your gameplay is always different.
Sure.
But like all the events are fucking nuts.
Sure.
It's like one of them's like the murderer's like trying to escape, and you have to like go and like hunt him down real quick. The one that he was telling me that seemed like fucking insane was everybody has to speak in Gregorian chant, and if you don't, you move less.
Wow.
And I was like, that sounds like a fucking fun time.
That does sound like a fun time. No, that game sounds like a lot of fun. This is real neat. I've been thinking of trying to design a game. Yeah. I want to design a game based on Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
All right.
In which everyone plays either a black character or a Jewish character.
Okay.
They're decks of cards, of numbered cards, and decks of special cards that everyone has.
All right.
And essentially, you draw off a deck a series of social events that everyone attends, and then the players will choose different characters to interact with in social events. And the goal of the game is to garner pity while not building up hatred.
That's fucking amazing. Actually, I say that's fucking amazing. What my real feelings is that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. Because what was the way I came up with this idea was I was driving in my car and I was thinking about game design, and I was like, man, I bet I could do a game design of anything if I just tried hard enough at it. And the first thing I thought of was Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I've just been thinking about that nonstop ever since.
You should really just Patreon that shit. I don't know, man. Pitch it.
Yeah.
I think that would be stellar. You can make a lot of money. No, fucking go with it, because we live in the age of crowdfunding and bullshit. So you can make millions even if you don't deliver.
Yeah, that's true. The only problem with it is I don't have the license to Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, that is an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to make it be a parody game of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. Stupid Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Or dumb Curb Your Enthusiasm. Whatever.
Yeah. Nathan, for you.
Fucking
next role-playing game I play character in, I'm going to try to base my character on Nathan Fielder. That's just what I'm going to do.
I should probably try to do that for my next character in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, help me out with that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off of the record.
Yeah, maybe after this. But, oh man, so this is fucking, I'm trying to think if I got any other tabletop stuff to say.
Yeah.
Just, it's fun, it's great. I've been running Legend of Five Rings, and it's absurd, and I want my campaign to be like, so Grant sent me a manga.
Okay.
And the manga is called Oyaji, which means like dad, but it's a really rough way of saying dad. It's like the way like sons refer to their dads or something.
Okay.
and it also encompasses this idea of manliness.
Okay.
In Japanese culture.
Always remember the face of your father.
Yeah. And so the manga is like 3 volumes, and it's just about like this like hard as nails fucking father who's like trying to like make right with his family.
Sure.
Like after all these years of being gone.
Alright.
And he had to leave because the Yakuza threatened to like kill his family, and he murdered a bunch of them.
Sure.
And I just want my campaign to like encompass like the more ridiculous moments of like how absurd Japanese and manly as shit that got. Because there's like a moment where like so like you know there's a point where he goes to the Yakuza like headquarters, and he's got a shovel, and he just fucking murders everyone with a shovel. And this guy comes at him with a katana, he just blocks it with his arm, like it sinks into his arm, and doesn't even give a shit. He just decapitates the dude with a shovel. Like, he gets shot 3 times, and he just clenches his fist, and, like, the bullets fucking bleed out of him. He, like, kills everyone there. A tiger shows up. He fucking headbutts the tiger, pours alcohol over its head, and lights it on fire.
That's just hilarious. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's some fucking, like, Brock Samson bullshit.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah. So you want to somehow capture that same emotion?
Yeah, ridiculous Japanese manliness.
Yeah.
To the point of like absurd bloodshed, and like there's a lot of really heartfelt moments too whenever he's with his family.
Yeah. No, I mean I think that's gonna be challenging to run. I mean, how do you translate that to a role-playing experience? Do you want the characters, the players, to experience that ethos of manliness? Or do you just want to expose them to characters who channel that ethos?
I want to do both, really. Yeah. I want my characters to build themselves into those roles. You know, really get absorbed in that stuff. This is what I want to do. It'll be, but that's what I got on that front. But otherwise, I'm currently planning on playing in 2 different Pathfinder campaigns, so I'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you guys doing back in Baton Rouge?
We just started building characters for my new campaign.
What are you running?
I'm running Pathfinder, and I'm making everyone run the new classes, the new advanced class site classes, so I can like vicariously play the classes by helping everyone build characters. Yeah,
no, I feel that.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We just built characters, and I kind of explained the setting. It's in my Zolenthal setting, but it's...
Oh, I love that setting.
Yeah, it's in, huh?
Can we play more of that whenever I come back?
Yeah, sure. I actually have one other story idea that I was going to do before this one, but anyways. But this one's set in the theocracy of the Council of 19 with a bunch of Chaos Gods. It's going to be about Chaos God politics.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fucking rad. Yeah. I miss both of our campaigns. both the one where we routed out the Evil Dragon plan for Evil Dragon War.
Yeah.
Evil Dragon Conspiracy.
Yeah.
And the one whenever we were interplanetary travelers.
Yeah.
Like the A-Team.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Magical Stargate. Yeah. No, I was proud of both of those campaigns, actually. I had a ton of fun with that.
Yeah, and I've already bragged to people about how fun it was playing the cowboy setting.
Oh, yeah.
Which you really need to hash out mechanics for that so I can actually run it.
I really do. Because,
goddamn, if my favorite character isn't, like, William Dafoe or whatever the fuck... the Faulkner character with the Sound of the Furious revolvers that shot like lightning.
Yeah.
Which, goddamn, my favorite moment of all of that was like there was like the dude that walks by and it's like, yeah, you recognize that like that's a guy that's got a bounty on his head. What do you do? I'm like, well, I turn around and shoot him in the back. He's like, that's just what you do? And I'm like, yeah, with like my strongest shot. It's like, alright, you killed him.
Yeah.
You don't fuck with William.
Yeah.
That's what it means to be a wanted man.
Yeah. True.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, man. Love role-playing games.
Yeah, and then maybe when I'm back, we can finish our not Mega Man Legends one.
Oh, yeah. You know, do you want to sit down and help me hash out cowboy stuff first? Because I feel like I want to really go back to the drawing board on the Mega Man Legends game. Because I feel like I'm a better game designer now, and I think I can come up with some better core rules.
Better than the gun haver and sword haver?
No, the classes will be the same.
Fucking rad. Good shit.
Yeah. Alright, I think that's a good episode.
Alright, man.
Yeah.
I'll try to actually get this pup loaded.
Yeah. You know, that'd be pretty cool. I'd like to talk more about, sleep.
Oh yeah, it's like 3:30 here.
Yeah, it's 2:30 here. It's pretty late.
Yeah. I've been having a crazy warped sleep schedule, but that's probably because I'm like anxious or depressed.
Yeah.
But it's not painful. It's not the painful kind. It's just the kind that's there, and I'm like, man, fuck off. I want to sleep. And then I sleep for like 30 hours straight.
Man, kid, you should see a therapist.